Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the JDC West 2023 Operations Management Case Presentation. Before starting today, the JDC West Organizing Committee would like to make a land acknowledgement. The University of Saskatchewan Saskatoon campus is located on Treaty 6 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis. We pay our respect to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with one another. We pledge ourselves to create a competition that celebrates the diverse cultures and histories of this land. Thank you to our judges, Tammy, Paul, and Brad. My name is Kate, and I will be the academic moderator for the presentation. Competitors will have a maximum of 20 minutes to present. Immediately following the presentation, judges will have a total of 5 minutes to ask the presenters questions. Our academic timekeeper in the orange in the corner will hold up timing cues throughout the presentation and question period. Judges will indicate their intent to ask a question through raising their hands. I, the presentation moderator, will call on them to ask their questions. Once the question period has concluded, the delegates will be escorted to leave the room. No questions or comments will be permitted from the audience at any time. Please ensure that your cell phones are turned to silent and there is no talking amongst yourselves or signaling to the competitors throughout the competition. Competitors, you're free to begin your presentation.
Thank you so much. I'm sure that we can all agree that within the past few years, things have been less than perfect. And in the case of Libertine, this is only exemplified. The loss of your key customer, Hudson's Bay Company, have left you scrambling to pick up pieces. And with shifts of your operational capacities, such as production and firing of employees, you are now left asking yourself, is Libertine even possible to retain a profit going into the future? And if so, how do you do it? Well, my name is Braden, and with my colleagues Josh and Dalton, we are BDJ Consulting, and we are proud to announce to you the solution to liberating Libertine. Now, just before we dive right into today's presentation, I'd like to highlight the key players that we have found in regards to Libertine, and those are the Indigenous peoples. They are far too ignored in your current operations, and this must change moving forward. And of course, in regards to your employees, then the firing of over an entire shift worth of employees means that individuals within the company are not even going to be sure if their job will be secure moving into the future. And you need to change these internal messages with beyond all levels of your company. So what will today's presentation look like? Well, we have identified that the key issue is a lack of long-term goal planning with Libertine. After the loss of Hudson's Bay, like I said, you are scrambling to pick up the pieces. And you need to find a plan that works not only well financially, but also serves to impact the surrounding communities. And a few considerations that must be made when finding a solution is your cost efficiency, your focus on Indigenous peoples and communities, and communication within your organization. Our recommendation to you will be to shift your current product focus and partner with them. The impact of this plan will lead to a total contribution margin brought by the new shift per shift of $7,600. So what does the garment industry look like? Well, I'm sure it's no surprise to anybody, but things are getting expensive. And this is only exemplified with the material cost of Gore-Tex. The cost has increased by over 60%. And as it is used in not only your rain jackets, but your parkas as well, you need to come up with a plan to mitigate these costs and help your margins when using these materials into the future. An increase in demand for products such as your parkas has been steady, and we can expect this trend to continue deep into the future. But what are your internal opportunities? Well, your over-reliance on the Hudson's Bay Company is what led you to being in the position that you are currently in. So this must change. You must diversify your customer base and partner for extended durations of time to ensure profitability and the measurability of your margins moving into the future. And a lack of communication between departments. We've seen that at all levels of Libertine, not only on the production floor, but with administration as well. Departments are not communicating They are unsure of what their peers are doing and exactly what they are doing to make an impact within Liberty. And with the layoff of an entire shift worth of production, I'm sure employees are wondering if their jobs are next. And with a lack of long-term metrics, you need to change internally to improve your communication strategies at all levels of your company. And in regards to Indigenous reconciliation, well, the United Nations declared the rights of Indigenous people, and you must reflect this moving forward with your company. You need to have initiatives in order to hire more Indigenous peoples to ensure representation across the board is fair and equal. And an internal lack of supporting Indigenous communities. So what exactly is Libertine going to be doing in the future? And what will these initiatives look like? And with a separation from Hudson's Bay, a company that is often referred to as a colonial, this is leading to a golden opportunity to rebrand yourselves and help these communities moving into the future, especially with Nanook looking to partner with you. And now, going into decision criteria, I'd like to pass it off to my colleague, Dalton.
Thank you. So we looked at a couple things when making a decision for your company today. First, maximize profit. Obviously, we know that you have a lot of different options, and at the forefront of those comes profit. Aligning the divisions, we've seen a lot of miscommunication or no communication at all between the divisions in your company. Increasing the contribution margin on your products. What should you produce? How much of it should you produce? And then last, but most importantly, the inclusion of Indigenous peoples. As my colleague touched on, this is a time for your company that they could use as a golden opportunity to transition into something new, a new brand for your company. So we looked at two alternatives for you today. The first alternative being to expand independently and look towards lower costs. You have already cut down your staff as much as possible, and you would be able to focus on growing your business independently through new customers. This could take a long amount of time. There's no guarantee in profits, and there's no guarantee that you'll get a customer as big as Hudson's Bay Company right away. So you may maximize profit in the short term in terms of margins, but this doesn't do anything to align communication between your company. There's still no long-term goal that your employees and your executives can align themselves with. This also doesn't do anything to include Indigenous peoples. So for our second alternatives, we look to do that for you. So the second idea would be to expand efforts and focus on Indigenous peoples. You would look to sign a contract with Nanook, and while changing the material and your product focus. This creates core values that your company can align with, so every employee knows just what they're doing. This will allow you to align the divisions in the company. Everyone will know what's going on. This will allow you to include Indigenous peoples with certain hiring requirements. This will increase your contribution margins by incorporating the best materials and focusing on your highest margin products. And then for profit, short term, you won't see as much profit because you'll be looking to explore into these new things. But in the long term, the profit will come. So our recommendation to you today would be to shift your current product focus and partner with Nanook. This means that you'll be shifting your manufacturing focus to higher profit products, as well as realigning core values within your company. This includes hiring practices, values, and then your suppliers as well. Who are you getting these products from, and how are you supporting the suppliers and their region or their community? And then again, as I touched on, improving communication between internal divisions. It won't work for your company if your administration doesn't know what's going on the product floor. If that keeps happening and these prices are so mismatched where no one knows what's going on, you're going to see a lot more problems coming into your future, especially after losing a large client. So first, shifting to more profitable products. Right now, we see kind of an equal representation of your products, with the parka, the peacoat, and the raincoats all kind of getting around the same production. You should look to shift this. This shift should be towards the parka and the raincoat. These are your highest value products, as the peacoat is not so high on the contribution margin. My colleague Josh will get into that a bit later in the financials. Second, look to partner with Nook and look to hire new Indigenous peoples. So first, as you touched on, you'd like to rehire your existing workers, but there's no guarantee that they'll all still be left, that there's a chance that they went out and found new jobs. So that's why the new hires that you'd be looking towards for pre-existing positions would be 50% Indigenous peoples, to make sure they have that representation. And then last, realign the company values. So this would improve administration and production division communication. So you would be looking as a company to shift from your current producer for feathers to Feather Falling, a new company who is an Indigenous company, which would be supporting Indigenous communities. This allows you to have a cost beneficial change as well as have that support. And then next, I'll pass it on to Josh to go through that implementation.
So, how are we going to go about doing this? Well, first of all, you're going to be looking at hiring 3 existing tailors. Now, this is because this is a very high-skill job, and people who have been doing it for your company already are going to be able to pick up right where they left off and be able to do this faster. It also might be harder to find tailors in short notice. But you're going to be rehiring 1 new cutting operator as well as 2 new pressing machine operators. Now, these operators are going to be there to be able to train the new employees that you guys will hire. And these new employees should be Indigenous. Not only is this going to give the company more Indigenous representation, but also this shift is being added mostly to be able to meet the needs of Nunuk, your Indigenous partner. So Indigenous peoples are going to want this job as well. This is going to be something that's very attractive to them because it also supports their beliefs and their culture. So the 2 new machine operators and 4 new pressing machine operators that will be operating on the added shift that will be going towards Libertine apparel will be Indigenous peoples and new hires. And they will be able to learn from the existing people that are being hired. And we expect that this will take about 6 months to be able to acquire these new employees as well as train them. The second part is going to be partnering with Nunuk. So you're going to need to be adding that 3rd shift, a 3rd 8-hour shift, that the one that you guys have gotten rid of, to be able to meet the production for Nunuk. I know you might be wondering, well, this is a lot of hours that's being added for a company that only really needs 3 shifts per week. But you're going to be able to use that extra capacity to produce the higher value goods. So the highest contribution margin goods that are being produced by your company right now is the parkas and the raincoats. So the production is going to be able to be 20 parkas and 27 raincoats. Now the raincoats, right now, you guys are only able to operate, being able to create 19 of these per shift, which we expect will be able to be increased because of the removal of the peacoats. So because the peacoats are a lower contribution margin, and what is really important to your company is being able to increase the contribution margin that you guys are producing, the focus should be on these products, specifically in this amount for the new shift. Now this is when that shift is not working on products for the net. And the last part is being able to realign the communication within the organization. Now we're seeing a huge disconnect between the administration side and the production side of the organization. Your administrative manager was even quoted saying that she has not been down in the production area recently, and that she hasn't communicated with the production manager in weeks. This is something that's extremely alarming, and we believe that everybody in the organization should be able to work together. You're getting more heads on different problems, and everybody can understand how their job affects the other people within the organization. How are you going to fix this? It's going to be able to be having bi-weekly meetings. This means every 2 weeks, the production team as well as the administrative team are going to be able to meet. Now, this will be each of the shifts will be able to get representation in the meetings, and the managers will be able to present what's going on in their side of the organization. So the administrative manager, Amanda, is going to be able to share what new changes are happening in the administrative side, and what specifically they're going to be doing, the actions that are being taken. And then the production manager, Paul, is going to be able to present about what the production side is doing, changes that are happening on the production side. Is there new hires? Is there people learning new skills? Is there opportunities? So they're going to be able to share that within the organization. And there's going to be open communication. There should be time allotted for open communication between both departments in these meetings, because that is extremely important. It's more ideas on the same problem, as well as everybody getting a better understanding within the organization, so that we're not seeing these types of problems in the future. So let's look at the costs. This is the analysis that identified the parka and the raincoat as being the products that should be focused on. The contribution margin, as you can see, is actually significantly lower for the peacoat. This new shipping costs, this new shipping costs might be something that you're noticing. This new shipping cost might be something that you're noticing. What is that? Well, because you're now acquiring wool from Manitoba, there's going to be an added cost of getting that wool from Manitoba to Saskatchewan. Now, that added cost is based on an assumption of 28% increase in the actual material cost. And you might be wondering, did you incorporate the change for the new feather partner? Yes. The cost is different now for the feathers. It is increased. Your old partner was able to give you $17 per unit, but now it's 20 with the new Indigenous partner. But not only is this something that is very minor, because you're able to partner, you're able to support an Indigenous supplier, but it's also very minor because it doesn't add that much to the overall contribution margin. So it's something that we felt is extremely important, not only because it doesn't add that much, but because it's important for Indigenous peoples. Now, this might be an issue that you see as insignificant, but feather is actually something that is sacred for Indigenous peoples. And so is hunting, being able to be connected to the land and connected to the heritage. Now, this is something that is extremely important, and by supporting Indigenous suppliers of this product, you're able to support Indigenous peoples doing what they love. So those are very important things to consider here. So the benefits. When operating and creating the products that your company offers, the raincoat and the parka, you're going to be able to have an average contribution margin of $161.85 per product. Now, this is more than $2 higher than you guys are operating right now. So this entire shift is going to be more efficient. And this attributes to $7,600, a little over $7,600 every single shift that it is operating and making these things. So if we just go back for one second, you'll see that the contribution margin for each of these products is actually very high. But if we take into account the fixed costs of these items, almost every single one of them is for sure going to be less than a 50% profit margin, which means that the rest of the time that shift is operating, it is being more efficient by working with the node, because you're able to get a 50% profit margin on the products that are created for node. This is mitigations. Node may not be wanting to collaborate anymore, but this isn't something that we expect is very high probability. It's actually extremely low probability, because you're going to be able to foster a really strong relationship and share the new image of the organization, this new supporting Indigenous image of the organization, to be able to make Nunavut happy, essentially, and they will want to work with something like that. Now, for the overall reduction in quality, of course, you might notice that the feathers have less puff value than desired. But at a 700 rating versus 750, we assume that this would not have very much difference. It's a very small change in the actual puff value, and the increase in quality is less important than being able to support Indigenous suppliers, especially with the sacredness of feathers. And the staff training, because you're hiring existing workers to be able to train these new employees, you're going to be able to definitely see quick improvement in these new employees, as well as having less employees to actually need to hire. And we anticipated this would take 6 months, so it's not very long, and that's why we were able to do that. So thank you for watching our presentation, and we're open to any questions you guys may have.
Thank you very much for that presentation. It was very well done. Mentioned some new shifts. Well, in our current situation, what should we be doing? That thing's not going to happen right away. Everything's going to cost a little money. How do we make it to this next payroll cycle, next couple payroll cycles? Should we be making some adjustments, and what would it be?
Sure. Yeah, definitely the adjustments are going to be, so with this new shift and any excess ability to manufacture is going to be focused on the higher contribution margin products. And when being able to sell these products, obviously the focus will be on having new customers to fill the void of Hudson's Bay country. And being able to sell these products is very important. Now, a risk here is obviously not being able to find these intermediaries that want to buy the product or even selling directly. The issue would be there. But the NNIP, being able to have the NNIP partnership come into play guarantees that 50% profit margin, and that can be that this new shift, being able to hire this entire new shift, you're going to be able to focus more of the efforts on NNIP. If the profit margin, if you notice that you're not making enough money on the additional manufacturing, as well as maybe looking to purchase or own NNIP in the future. So you can focus your efforts differently depending on what you're seeing in the short term, but being able to shift your product focus on the higher value products right now is essential for that.
You mentioned hiring more staff and bringing in certain amounts of certain types of employees. Can you speak to why you made that decision, hiring more pressers or tailors?
Yeah, the reason that's being done is simply because this shift is mainly being added to be able to meet the needs of NNIP, and this is the labor, the positions that we're going to need to be able to make NNIP's products.
I want to build on that. The question is similar, but you had mentioned 50% Indigenous employees, so talk to me a little bit more about that. Was that just on that one shift?
Yeah, it's just on that one shift. So the employees, the existing employees that are being hired are going to be in each different area of employee that you need. That way they can train the new employees, and all of the new hires that are going to be coming, not the old existing employees, are going to be Indigenous